Hello and welcome to the next unit and the next module of our course. What it means in practice is that the first part of the presentation is for beginner students and the second part is for our advanced group. Let us see how it works. Okay, so if you are ready to start, let's go. Let me just share the presentation with you and we can start. Okay, the topic of today's presentation is he can't have done that. Crime and punishment. So this is what we are going to be talking about today. But first of all, have a look at these pictures and answer this question. What do they have in common? Do you recognize these people? Maybe you know their names as actors, but what is important is what they have in common. Can you look at the pictures and think what they have in common, how why they are similar, and why they are in the same presentation, yes, on the same page, yes. Their outfits, I think, give away a little bit, yes, and what they are doing. Maybe you're not familiar with all of them, but I think you can see a common point, yes, between all of them. Yes, have a look. This one with a moustache. Do you remember this one from an old TV series? This one is a newer one. And this one is quite new as well. Yeah, can you tell me now? So obviously they are all detectives. Yes, detectives from different TV series. Yes, so they are detectives. And what do detectives have in common? Yes, detectives, of course, solve crimes. And how do they solve crimes? Deduction means using the information available to make a guess or to draw a conclusion about the fact. So this is what detectives do, yes? They use the information available and they make a guess or draw a conclusion based on what they know, okay? Depending on the information available, you might be more certain or more sure, yeah, that your conclusion is true, or less certain that your conclusion is true. Okay, so depending on what information you have available, you might be more or less certain, more or less sure that your conclusion, that what you think is correct. Okay, so this is what deduction means. Okay, now the art of deduction. How do we use the art of deduction? What do we use in English? We use different modal verbs. So as you know, modal verbs are used for different purposes, for different things, yes, but here they will be used to express different degrees of certainty, which means how sure we are about what we are saying. Okay, so how certain are you? How sure are you? Yes, 100% completely or almost certain. So 100% sure, we use must or can't. If you are 50% maybe certain, maybe sure, we will use might, may, or could. And I'm going to show you plenty of examples of how these different modal verbs are used to make deductions, yes, to make deductions. So imagine that you are a detective, and based on the information available, based on the information that you have, you make deductions. And I will show you what it means in a second. Okay, so first of all, we can make deductions about the present. Yeah, so remember, we use must. We are sure something is true. Can't. We are sure that something is impossible, so something is not true. Okay, so have a look at the picture. I don't know if you know this guy, but from the picture, yeah, from what he is doing, you can draw a conclusion that he must be a chef. He must be a chef. He can't be a policeman. So you are sure 100% that he is a chef, and you are sure 100% that he is not a policeman. So you say, he can't be a policeman. Yeah, he can't be a policeman. And then you say, he could be famous. So you say, oh, maybe he's famous. So you use could if you are 50% or maybe slightly more or slightly less certain about something. So he must be a chef. He can't be a policeman. He could be famous. Yeah. And have a look at the second example. Carla works every day from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So right now you look at your watch and it's 10:30 a.m. So what conclusions can we draw? She must be at work. Yeah, she must be at work. Yes, it's 10:30. She always works from 9 o'clock. So she must be at work. She can't be at home because she's at work. Yes, so you are 100% sure that she is at home. So she must be at home. That's your conclusion, right? Or she can't be at home. Yeah, you are equally sure of that. Okay, so now it's your turn to practice these new modal verbs, these new usages, I suppose, of modal verbs. And in this slide, I want you to only use must or can't. So have a look at the pictures. They're not tricky. I am not trying to trick you or anything like that. I just want you to practice these new modal verbs. So she, be a doctor. Must or can't? Look at her outfit, what she is wearing. Does she look like a doctor or not? So must or can't? Okay, I'll give you the correct answers in a minute. Okay, the second one, he, be a teacher. Look at him. Does he look like a teacher or does he look like somebody else? And think whether to use must or whether to use can't. Okay, they, be in love. Look at them. Are they in love or not? Must or can't? The next one is she, be exhausted. Is that true or you're sure this is not true? Okay. And the next one is somebody eating a burger. He, be a vegetarian. Is that must or can't be a vegetarian? So let us have a look at the correct answers. She must be a doctor, right? She's wearing a doctor's uniform. She must be a doctor. She can't be a teacher. He can't be a teacher. He can't be a teacher. He's wearing a firefighter's uniform. So he's probably a firefighter rather than a teacher. So he can't be a teacher. They must be in love. Look at the way they look at each other. Yes, they must be in love. Yeah. She must be exhausted. Look at her. She's sleeping on her books. Yes, maybe she studied all night long. Yes. That's why she's exhausted. So she must be exhausted. He can't be a vegetarian. Yes. He's eating a burger, although mind you, yes, now you have a lot of different options, veggie burgers and all that, but okay, let's not get into that. He can't be a vegetarian. So can you see what we are doing? We are making deductions. We are certain, we are sure that something is true, or we are sure that something is not true. So she must be a doctor. They must be in love. She must be exhausted, right? This is when you are sure that something is true. But when you are sure that something is not true or that something is impossible, you say, he can't be a teacher. He can't be a vegetarian. Okay. So how do we make deductions about the present? Have a look at these 3 different sentences. He hasn't eaten for 2 days. What would be our logical deduction? He had a full breakfast 1 hour ago. What would be our deduction? He is a little grumpy. And what can we say about that? So then the different the statements are: he might be hungry, he must be hungry, he can't be hungry. Okay, have a look at these sentences and think about which one goes with what. Okay, so he hasn't eaten for 2 days. Well, then what can we deduct from that? Yes, he hasn't eaten for 2 days. That means he must be hungry. Yeah. He had a full breakfast 1 hour ago. He can't be hungry, of course. Yes. He had a full breakfast only 1 hour ago, so he can't be hungry. It's impossible that he's hungry, right? He's a little grumpy. That means he might be hungry. Grumpy means like a bit angry. It's like grumpy, right? Not in a very good mood. Grumpy. So he might be hungry. A lot of people are grumpy when they are hungry. So he hasn't eaten for 2 days. He must be hungry. He had a full breakfast 1 hour ago. He can't be hungry. It's impossible. Yeah. He's a little grumpy. He might be hungry. Yeah. That's why he is grumpy. So these are the deductions that we make based on the information that we have. Okay. And now I want you to complete this these statements below with must, can't, may, might, or could. So what do we use? And there are 3 different ones. We use them to say that we think that something is possible. Which ones do we use to say that we think something is possible? Okay. The first one, we use what when we are almost sure that something is true. And then we use what when we are almost sure that something isn't true. So which one do we use? Okay. I'm going to give you the answers now. Of course, we use may, might, or could to say that we think something is possible. We use must when we are almost sure that something is true, or 100% it's possible as well. We use can't when we are almost sure that something isn't true. So well done if these were your answers. Okay, now let us have a look at some sentences, some examples. Okay, so let's practice together. Okay, so sentence number 1. So here you are to choose from must, can't, could, and might. Yeah, they have been running for hours. They would be exhausted. What's your logical conclusion? Okay, that is number 1. Number 2, the race has just started. He be tired already. So you see there is a difference between these 2 sentences. I have tried calling, but there is no reply. Perhaps he's at the bank. He be unable to use the phone. Yeah. So which one do we use here? This be right. It doesn't make sense. She hasn't, that's number 5. She hasn't arrived yet. She be stuck in traffic, but I am not sure. Okay. I can't find my phone. It be at home, or perhaps I lost it. I have no idea. Number 7, the phone be at home. I remember putting it in my bag on my way out. Number 8, you be joking. That's the most ridiculous excuse I have ever heard. You be serious. The baby looks uncomfortable. He be hot or hungry. Maybe his nappy needs changed. Okay, and finally, a similar one, but slightly different. The baby is crying. She is wearing a thick sweater, socks, and a hat. She be hot. Poor thing. Okay, remember, as always, if you need more time, please pause the slide and do it at your own pace. But let us have a look at the correct answers now. And as always, I encourage you to listen and repeat after me. Yes. So these sentences, these statements come automatically to you, and you practice your pronunciation as well. They've been running for hours. They must be exhausted. The race has just started. He can't be tired already. I've tried calling, but there is no reply. Perhaps he's at the bank. He may or might be unable to use the phone. This can't be right. It doesn't make sense. She hasn't arrived yet. She could be stuck in traffic, but I am not sure. I can't find my phone. It might be at home, or perhaps I've lost it. I have no idea. The phone must be at home. I remember putting it in my bag on my way out. You must be joking. That's the most ridiculous excuse I have ever heard. You can't be serious. The baby looks uncomfortable. He might be hot or hungry. Maybe his nappy needs to be changed. And the last one, the baby's crying. She's wearing a thick sweater, socks, and a hat. She must be hot. Poor thing. Okay, well done if these were your answers. Okay, we started this lesson from talking about detectives, yes, and we talked about detectives solving crime. So what is a crime and what is a punishment? A crime is a serious offense such as murder or robbery. A punishment is a penalty imposed on somebody who is convicted of a crime. Yeah? So we punish somebody for committing a crime or an offense. Okay. A punishment could be, for example, time in prison. So you go to prison to serve time, maybe 1 year, 2 years, 10 years, right? Or a fine. Yes, you pay money. So these are the two most common types of punishment. So time in prison or paying a fine, paying money instead. So crime and punishment. So now we are going to have a look at some vocabulary to do with types of crime. And I want you to have a look at the pictures, yes, and try to guess the different types of crime. So the first one is the act of stealing things out of pockets or bags secretly. Okay, and that's number one here. So we have two P's in here. Can you guess this one? Stealing things out of pockets or bags secretly. Okay, we'll give you, of course, we'll give you the answers in a minute. The second one here, taking something from a shop without paying for it. Okay. Can you think of a good one? This is starting with the letter S. Okay. Another one is an act of attacking someone and stealing their money. Usually, yes, it usually happens in the streets, yeah. And this starts with the letter M. Okay. The next one is the crime of stealing from a building. You see, in English, we have different names for different types of theft, yes? Depends whether you steal from a shop, from a bank, or maybe from a person, maybe in the street, maybe from their pocket. My goodness, yes. So we have different names for these different crimes. And the next one is starting a fire. So this one is with B, number 4. Number 5, starting a fire in order to damage or destroy something. Okay, so can you guess this one, starting with the letter A there? Okay, And the last one is the crime of stealing money from a bank. So a different name, yes, starting with an R, okay? And okay, after you have named the crimes, I also want you to name me the person who does it. And in English, it's called a perpetrator. So theft, so stealing something is called theft, and the person who does it is a thief. Theft and thief, yeah, hard, two hard words, but that's yes. So theft and thief, yes, we have to remember to put your tongue between your teeth. Theft and thief. Okay, very, very good. So now I'm going to have a look at the answers. Right, the first one, the act of stealing things out of pockets is called pickpocketing. Pickpocketing is the act of stealing. Yes, the verb will be pickpocket, and the person who does it is called a pickpocket as well. Okay, so pickpocketing, and the person who does it, person who steals from other people's pockets, is called a pickpocket. Okay, a bit of a mouthful there. Okay, shoplifting is taking something from a shop without paying for it. Shoplifting, and the person is called a shoplifter. Shoplifting, shoplifter. Okay, number 3, an act of attacking someone and stealing their money is mugging. Mugging, yes, a hard one. I'm not sure if you've known this one before. And the person who does it is a mugger. So mugging and mugger. So you can say like this person, she got mugged. Yes, she got mugged by a mugger in the street. Yeah, so mug and mugging. Okay, the next one is number 4. The crime of stealing from a building is a burglary, and a person who does it is a burglar. Burglar, so burglar and burglar. Starting a fire is called arson. That's the proper name for it, arson, and the person is an arsonist. Arson and arsonist. And finally, the crime of stealing money from a bank is a robbery, okay? And the person is called a robber. So one more time, pickpocketing, pickpocket, shoplifting, shoplifter, mugging, mugger, burglary, burglar, arson, arsonist, robbery, robber. Okay, well done. Now, this is the end of the lesson for beginner students. The rest of the presentation is for advanced students. So thank you very much. Beginner students, yes, you may finish the lesson now, and the rest of you may continue with me to the end. Okay, so in the lesson for beginner students, we talked about making deductions about the present, yes? So we used sentences such as he must be a chef, she must be a doctor, and so on. Here we are going to learn how to make deductions about the past. So about something that happened in the past. And how do we do that? We use a modal verb plus have plus past participle. Okay, so again, it depends on how certain, how sure you are. So if you are 100% certain, you use must have or couldn't have or can't have. Okay, and if you are only 50% certain, so not certain at all, you say could have, may have, or might have. So it's very similar to using modal verbs in the present, but you need to remember have and past participle to make sure that that you talk about the past, not the present. Okay, so have a look. Scene of burglary. Yes, can you have a look at the picture, please? Yeah, and this is a scene of burglary. So somebody must have broken into this room or the house, right? And a big mess. So it's a scene of burglary, okay? And if I ask you this question, how do you think the burglar, the person who commits burglary, is, how do you think the burglar got in? Okay, and now you play the detective and you try to make deductions. You make draw conclusions from what you can see. Okay, so he must have climbed through the window, yeah, because you can't see any signs of breaking in through the door. So he must have climbed through the window. You are almost 100% sure. He couldn't have come through the door. You are almost 100% sure that this is not the case, because maybe there is no sign of breaking in on the door. So he couldn't have come through the door. It's impossible, yes, that he has come through the door. Okay, he might have escaped through the window, but you're not sure. You're not sure 100%, yes? If he came through the window, maybe he probably escaped through the window, but you're not sure. You're not sure what happened. Okay, he could still be there, right? So this is what I mean when I talk about making deductions about the past. So obviously the burglary happened, some time ago, okay? And you walk into the room and that's what you see. So you make deductions about the past, okay? Hope this is clear. Now, have a look. You are the detective now and make speculations about these pictures. So have a look at this picture here and use he must, he can't, and the police. So you can use, you have must, you have can't, and then in the third one, you have to decide which one to use, okay? And remember, you're talking about the past, yeah? So a deduction about the present would be, he must be a robber, yes? He's wearing a balaclava, he's holding a bag with money with a big dollar sign on it. He must be a robber. But about the past, so you make deductions about what he did, yes? Or what he must have done, okay? So he must rob a bank. He can't steal a lot of money and the police see him. Can you make these sentences? Can you try to make these sentences? Pause for a little bit and let's try. Remember, we use a modal verb, have, and past participle. So you already have must here. Must what? Okay. He can't what? And the police what? You have to choose your own modal verb here. Okay, let us have a look at the answers. Okay, he must have robbed the bank. Yes, he's wearing a balaclava. He's holding a bag with money. He must have robbed the bank. You are the detective. This is what you think. Okay, he can't have stolen a lot of money. The bag is not that big. Yes, so probably there isn't much money in it, right? He can't have stolen a lot of money. And the police might have seen him. Yes, might have seen him. We are not sure. Yes, if they saw him or not, okay, but they might have seen him. He's wearing a balaclava and he's got a bag. He will be easily spotted, okay? So these are the speculations that you are making. Let us make some more, okay? So here, these sentences are about an escaped criminal. And what I want you to do is I want you to rewrite them using a modal, as in the example. So in the example we have, it is almost certain that he left before breakfast. Now, how do we rewrite it? He must have left. He must have left before breakfast. Okay, so remember, use must have, can't have or couldn't have, might have, and so on. Okay, depending on what the sentence says. So it is almost certain that he left before breakfast. He must have left before breakfast. You are sure of that, okay? It is highly unlikely that he carried the gold by himself. It is highly unlikely. So which modal would you use? Okay. Number 2, it seems quite likely that he had an accomplice. It seems quite likely. Accomplice is somebody who helps a criminal. It's called an accomplice. So it seems quite likely that he had an accomplice. It is certain, so it is sure, you are sure about that. It is certain that he headed towards London. Okay. Possibly he escaped by boat. It is quite likely that he made contact with his friends. And number 6, it is possible but unlikely that he died. So again, as always, yes, please pause the slide if you need a little bit more time, or if you want to maybe write it down, but I always prefer you to just speak to the presentation, yes, and do these exercises orally, right? Because I want you to learn how to use those new structures in practice, yeah? So these are the answers. Now, he can't or couldn't have carried the goat by himself. Yes, you are sure of that because maybe the bag was too heavy, maybe there was too much goat, maybe like 100 kilos. Yes, so he can't have carried it by himself, or he couldn't have carried the goat by himself. He may have had an accomplice. So we are not sure about that. Maybe he had an accomplice, maybe not. Okay, he may have had an accomplice, yes, because maybe somebody actually helped him carry the gold. Yeah, he must have headed towards London. You are sure, yes, that he headed towards London. So he must have headed. He must have headed towards London. He could have escaped by boat. You're not sure in what way he escaped. He could have escaped by boat. He may have made contact with his friends. You're not sure about that. Yes, you're not certain whether he did or he didn't. He may have made contact with his friends. And the last one is he might have committed suicide. He might have committed suicide. We're not sure about that. So well done. These were your answers. If you are not certain about these, please go back to the previous slide and try to do it again. Yeah, try to do it at your own pace. Yeah, slowly. Okay. Here, what I want you to do, I want you to make speculations about these pictures. So more practice for you here. Okay, this one is, of course, the one we've had already. He must what? Rob a bank. Yes, you look at him. Yes, he looks like a robber. He probably is a robber. So what would be the correct answer here? The second one is, you look here. Yes, someone must what? Someone could. Okay, this is use your own ideas here. Okay, someone must. Someone could. Okay. The next one is he must what? Again, you use must have. He could have, yeah. And the last one is she must have or she could have. Yeah, so look at the pictures. Yes, you don't say she must be sitting in front of a computer because you can see that. But what I want you to do here is to make speculations. Yes, like yes, this one is easier, but these ones, yes, are maybe more difficult. But at the same time, you can use your imagination and think about different life situations that could have happened to these people. So please, please, please do not skip this slide. Pause this slide, yes, and do it at your own pace and try to make proper, correct sentences about these pictures. Okay, super. And now we have some more. I have some more pictures for you. Again, what I want you to do is to pause the slide or maybe even write it down on a piece of paper if this is how you learn better or if this is what helps you. And here again, you have a scene of an accident, right? They must, they might, they can't. Okay. So we say they must have, we can say they must have had an accident, but they might what? They can't what? Yes, so this is for your individual work. How about this one? He must, he can't, he may. Again, please pause the slide and do it at your own pace. Please make at least 3 sentences, yes, Think about it carefully, what sort of speculations you can make about this picture. Okay, so he must have, he can't have, he may have, yeah. Okay, this one as well. Let's see. I don't know what is happening in the picture. Yes, make speculations as well. You are the detective. Okay, so pause the slide again, take a piece of paper, and you can write it down if that helps. Okay. Now, I've got a good slide here to compare models of deduction in the present and models of deduction in the past. Okay, so have a look. Models of deduction in the present. Somebody is knocking on the door. Who is that? Okay, it must be John. He promised to visit me today, so it must be John. Yes, I am sure it's probably John. It must be John. It's him. Yeah. So we use must when we feel sure that something is true because there is very strong evidence. Yes, he promised to visit me, so it must be him. Now, it might, could be Jehovah's Witness, right? They often go door to door. It's possible, yeah? We use might, may, or could to say that we think something is possible, but we are not sure. It can be Sarah. She's in Green Forest now. So we are sure it's not her. We use can't when we feel sure something is not true. And then the last one is it might not, may not be Lisa. I think she would have called if she wanted to visit us. We use might not, may not to say that we think something isn't possible, but we are not sure. Okay, so these ones we use these ones in the present. Okay, now models of deduction in the past. Somebody has eaten my hot dog. Who was that? Okay, it must have been Tom. Why? There is some ketchup on his shirt. We use must plus perfect infinitive when we feel sure about something in the past. It must have been Tom. Okay. It might have been Jane, or it may have been Jane. It could have been Jane. She was in the kitchen 10 minutes ago. Yeah. So we use might, may, or could to say that we think something was possible, but we aren't sure. Okay. It can't have been Lisa because she's on a diet. So it can't have been Lisa, or it couldn't have been Lisa. Okay. So we use can't, couldn't when we feel sure something didn't happen in the past. Okay, so we are sure about that. And then finally, it might not have been Helen. If I'm not mistaken, she wasn't hungry. So we use might not and may not to say that we think something wasn't possible, but we aren't sure. I think that's quite a good explanation, quite a good comparison of the two ways we use models of deduction in the present and in the past. Okay, since this is our topic is crime and punishment, we're going to finish this presentation with two exercises, and the first one is types of crime, and here we are going to match the crime with its definition. So the first one is armed robbery, abduction, kidnapping, assault, burglary, drug trafficking, attempted murder, domestic violence, and arson. So, and here are the definitions. Taking a person to a secret location using force, using a weapon to steal, setting fire to a place on purpose, hurting another person physically, trying to kill someone but failing, going to another person's home or business with force, trading illegal drugs, and physical assault that occur within the home. Okay, so let us have a look at the answers. Armed robbery. What is armed robbery? Armed robbery, yes. Armed means having a gun on you. To be armed means that you have a gun on you, okay? So armed robbery, of course, this is going into another person's home or business with force, right? No, that's not the right one. Hold on, that's not the right one there. It's actually that one there. Armed robbery, we have that one with somebody has got a gun, yes? So using a weapon to steal, that's robbery, armed robbery. So yes, you can go into another person's home or business with force, but here you have one with a weapon. So armed robbery using a weapon to steal, yes, with weapon. Okay, abduction, kidnapping. Abduction or kidnapping is taking a person to a secret location using force. Yeah, well done. Assault, do we know this word? Assault is to hurt someone, hurt another person physically. Okay, so that is D there. A burglary, okay, burglary, and this is here, yes, going into another person's home or business with force, breaking into somebody's house or business, yes, burglary. Drug trafficking is, of course, trading illegal drugs. I lost my mouse. Oh, here it is. Drug trafficking, trading illegal drugs. Attempted murder, of course, trying to kill someone by failing, yeah. Domestic violence, physical assault, which occurs within the home. And arson, setting fire to a place on purpose. So one more time, armed robbery using a weapon to steal, yes, a gun. Abduction, kidnapping is to take somebody to a secret location using force. Assault is to hurt somebody. Burglary is to go into another person's home or business with force, so to break into somebody else's property. Drug trafficking is to trade, buy and sell illegal drugs. Attempted murder, trying to kill someone but failing. Domestic violence, physical assault that occurs within the home. And finally, arson is to set fire to a place on purpose. So well done. If these were your answers, sorry for the initial confusion there. We've got one more slide to go, and we have some more crimes. Match these serious crimes to the descriptions. We have smuggling, arson, armed robbery, drink driving, fraud, blackmail. And then here we have the descriptions of what happened, and your task is to match these crimes with their descriptions. Number one, police believe the fire which destroyed a factory last night was started deliberately. Deliberately means on purpose. Wasn't an accident. It was started deliberately. Okay, so which one is it? Number two, customs seized 2 kilos of heroin hidden in a secret compartment in Miss Henley's suitcase. Can you find, yes, the correct definition for this one? Number three, 3 men with shotguns held up a security van in East London this afternoon. This was the one that was giving us trouble on the previous slide. Number four, the woman threatened to send Mr. Baxter's wife the photographs unless he paid for £2,000. Okay. Number five, Mr. Gray was stopped by police on his way home from the pub and found to be 3 times over the legal limit. What do we call this? And finally, Mr. Baker admitted using both his father's and mother's credit cards and forging his father's signature on several checks. So what do we call this type of crime? Okay, if you need more time, please pause this slide, but I'm going to give you the correct answers now. So the first one is, of course, arson. That means starting a fire, deliberately starting a fire on purpose. Smuggling or drug trafficking, we can call it, yeah. Number three, 3 men with shotguns. We have, this is called an armed robbery. Blackmail is when you threaten somebody to disclose their secrets if they don't pay you money. Blackmail. Drink driving is when you drink when you have alcohol over the legal limit. And fraud is a general term used to describe different types of, it could be forging, could be using other people's cards, could be stealing their details, things like that. So fraud is has got quite a wide range of meanings. Okay, but well done if these were your answers. So this is all for today's lesson. I hope that you've enjoyed it. Thanks a lot. Bye.